in exploring why is saving important. The answer lies in the question, what happens if people don't save? By interviewing the experts, UAE Money Talk will uncover why savings is crucial and explore strategies and techniques people can adopt to help them define their financial goals for their future. What happens if people don't save?
It's really simple actually. It's the old story of the ant and the grasshopper. If people don't save, you end up becoming one of those people that will probably rely on some form of government aid or security, which in all reality may not be around when you need it. So I think it's very important that people actually start saving money. You have needs like education planning, retirement planning. There are things that you need to do along the way, buy a house maybe, invest somewhere. These are things that require capital. So if you don't save money on a regular basis, you're not going to be in a position to actually build that capital. So yeah, I think these are the reasons why people should save.
Tell us, Rixon, how much should we be saving?
We are privileged to be living in this country where most of us don't end up paying any taxes. If we lived in a country where taxes were prevalent, about 30 to 35% of our income would actually go towards paying for benefits. And these benefits would predominantly mean education subsidized for our children, some form of social security, maybe unemployment, medical insurance. These things are not a given in this place. Ideally, if we're not saving about 30 to 35% of our income, in my opinion, we could have some serious problems going forward. Because people tend to forget that when we retire from here, there is no government aid. So we need to build those pots ourselves. I'd say about 30 to 35%. And people living in developed markets of the world where taxes are imposed are still saving in excess of 5 to 10% over and above the taxes. Given all that, I think about 35 to 40% is not too bad to save.
Especially here because we're not paying tax, right?
Absolutely, that's a big driver.
So there's so many different reasons why we save. Why is it so important for us to have different saving pots?
The biggest reason I can think of is it's a great way to build a discipline. If you're uncertain about what you want to save for, people have a habit of putting all the money in a bank account and eventually pulling money out of there from on a regular basis. If you have money put in various pots, you're going with the principle of save first and spend later. You know exactly what you're saving for. You know how much of money needs to go in that specific pot. And you don't touch that unless it is for that specific reason. For instance, when we had our firstborn, Leah, we started putting away money for her education. And that's a pot which is just for her education. We don't touch that money for our holidays, we don't touch it for our retirement, we won't touch it for anything else other than just that. I've lived in this country for 30 years and I've come across so many people along the way. One thing that stands out is a story of a businessman whose business actually went under just in the nick of time when his kids were about to go to college. And he had more than enough money to take care of their college education because this was a pot that was set up 18 years ago. So I think it builds discipline. Yeah.
Nowadays, everybody's always talking about retirement and the worries around retirement. Why is it now more than ever so important for us to be saving for our retirement?
It's interesting. If you see the stats on this, people are actually living much longer than they think they are. So when retirement was planned back in the day and people were supposed to work till 65 and retire thereafter, those rules don't apply anymore because life expectancy is gone way past 80. So if you've worked till 65 and if you've not saved enough money for retirement, you're probably going to end up living another 20, 25 years longer. If your money is not going to last you that long, you're going to die poor basically. Ideally, it's more important today than ever for someone to start saving. When we talk to people on a regular basis, they normally tell us that they would like to retire at 45, at 50, at 55. And when I hear these numbers, I can only conclude that they're not aware of what's happening in the world around them. The fact is, if you retire at 55, you'll probably end up living longer than you've ended up working. So now all that money that you've saved in those 30 years or 25 years of work have to last you for another 35 years. That may be a little unrealistic, unless you're willing to save a lot of money right now.
So many different parts, so many reasons to save for. Where shall we actually start?
I think the first thing to do is budget yourselves. What people are not used to doing on a regular basis, again, to build discipline, is have some form of an expense sheet. It's very important to create that expense sheet, find out what you really need, and start cutting down on that. Go lean. So ideally, what I would do is have a budget sheet in place. Get your expenses on the paper, figure out how much you need to, what you need to spend, what is required, what is a necessity, and the rest of it needs to be saved. I would actually work on saving money first, and then spending whatever is left over. And if you go by the pots, you now know how much money needs to go in every single pot, and the rest of it is actually available for a surplus.
It sounds really organized.
Yeah, it is, but it is actually pretty simple. It's just getting your finances in order. You know what your end game is, and you start right now by putting money away for that. That's it.
And clarity is power, right?
Absolutely.
UAE Money Talk empowers individuals to understand the importance of savings, to put them ahead of the curve, and to make the most out of their opportunities today.